mitzvah, or is done in the context of
Aye. You're on mute. Phil, you're on mute.
No, I'm not.
Aye.
Hi, David.
Okay, now I can hear you. Hi.
Oh, hi. Dove, you're still in Florida?
I'm still in Florida.
Are you
See,
getting out tonight? Are you flying tonight?
No, I'm not flying. I canceled my reservation.
Oh, you canceled it? Why?
I can't. I've decided I don't want to be over there right now. Several reasons, yeah. But they moved my reservation from Monday to Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Sunday, and but that wasn't them. No, I tried to cancel it. I was up all Saturday night trying to, you can't talk to anybody, and even
Right.
any links that they have, the links don't work either. So
Yeah, I only work with a travel agent for LL. So
they want you to use. They want you to chat with WhatsApp.
Right.
And
right.
finally, that didn't work either. But finally, I got it to
it's frustrating.
Somebody.
And
there,
where's your wife now?
She's in Jerusalem.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to keep 8 days, and she's going to keep 7.
Yeah. I guess here. I guess I don't have to keep 8 days, right? From what I gather, people. I only have one seder and so on.
But you can't do anything. You have to ask the rabbi because
but you can't do anything,
in public
outwardly. No.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you're not going to really do much, but
no. I mean,
all right. I hope it works out for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. I was wondering all day today whether I was going to see you tonight on here or not.
Yeah, I would have been there. Probably I would not have been there. I could have probably been recuperating from the flight. Usually I miss a day or two in between because just too tired.
Yeah. Coming back in this direction is tough.
Yeah, because you lose. You come back the next day.
Yeah. Well, we're still missing you here.
Thank you. I mean,
Good evening. Everybody is silent.
Hi. No,
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, you can speak on, even if I'm here. Okay. Erev Tov. Very nice of you to join Shiur on Erev Pesach. It's a week before, and Bezrat Hashem will shorten it in 2 minutes. So it will be you'll have 2 minutes to clean. And you know that today is a special day. We read the Haftarah a few weeks ago from Yecheskel, saying Yecheskel spoke about the Haftarah of Shabbat HaChodesh, and he spoke about the tafkid of the role of Hanasi. And then, as Yecheskel usually does, he has a totally different view of how the tribes are, he doesn't call it the king, he calls it the president. And he has some chag in Zayin Nisan. He speaks about Chodesh Nisan, very different korbanot than what we are used to, and he depicts a korban that is being mukrav in Zayin Nisan. So today we're in Zayin Nisan. That's the only thing I would like to speak about regarding Yecheskel. Okay, we'd like to speak about Shabbat Hagadol coming on Shabbat, and this special year we have a repetition of the original year of Yetziat Mitzrayim, because at the same year that Am Yisrael went out of Egypt, according to Braita in Seder Olam. Seder Olam is the only documental midrash that Chazal has that describes the history of the world. Professor Chaim Elikovsky from the Shul wrote his research, his doctorate about it. But it's a very special midrash because Rashi brings it a lot of times. And as much as I know, there aren't other midrashim cholkim, sometimes in a specific point of view, but not generally the same kind of a midrash. So the Seder Olam brought in the Gemara, several places, it says that Am Yisrael went out of Egypt on Thursday. Leila Seder was Wednesday night. And therefore, according to the Seder Olam, Shabbat Hagadol was Yud Benisan, and the Tur at the beginning of Hilchot Pesach writes in Yud Benisan, we know from Parashat HaChodesh that HaKadosh Baruch Hu ordered Moshe בעשור לחודש הזה, ויקחו להם איש שא לבית אבות, שא לבית, וימימת הבית מהיות משא, ולקח הוא שכנו הקרוב אליו במכסת נפשו, איש לפי אוכלות החוש סוד עשה. So according to the order in Shmot פרק י"ב, Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe in Yud to take the seh and to tie it to karei hamita, so to the legs of the bed. And that's what Am Yisrael did. Actually, it's a problem of tying on Shabbat. The Rishonim discuss it, okay? We have a melacha of kosher, how was it permitted, etc., etc. But they just had to wait till Yudalet, till Wednesday, and then to be shoichet the seh. And the
Torah hadn't been given yet. Was that halacha at this point? I mean,
okay.
Did
So
they know?
we can say that there was no Torah. It's more for what we call shashua, okay, for joy, because you can always answer the Torah was not given, and okay, and I say but avot kimu et Torah ad shelo nitna, etc., etc. Okay, it just appears, on the raid around Shabbat Hagadol. And then the Tur says, שאלו אותם המצרים, למה זה לכם? So the Egyptians asked the Jews, what do you need this sheep for? והשיבו לשוחטו לשם פסח במצוות השם עלינו. We're waiting for Wednesday, במצוות השם עלינו. I said several weeks ago in the name of Rav Meidan that he thinks, unlike Chazal, Chazal says that every month there was a Makkah, okay, and the whole Makkah took 10 months. But Rav Meidan says he has a raya from the words of the Torah at the end of Parashat Vayera on Makat Barad, the 7th Makkah, and the Torah says Ki HaSeora Aviv והפשתן גבעול, כן? So HaSeora is Aviv. It was the middle of the spring. So Rav Meidan proves that it was Shamoret Chodesh Aviv. It was the spring has already come. So according to him, Makat Barad was in Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and from Rosh Chodesh Nisan till Pesach we had all the Marad, Arbe, Choshech, and Bechoros. Bechoros is just the night, okay? But according to Rav Meidan, since Choshech is mentioned explicitly in the Torah for 6 days, so we must say that Choshech started before Shabbat Hagadol, okay? So according to Rav Meidan, the Egyptians were in darkness, okay? So it's a little bit nice with the loshon of the Tur, because the Tur says, שאלו אותם לשם מה זה, כן? So why do they have to ask? They understand that the Jews take the sheep, okay? But well, we can say that even without Rav Meidan, they didn't understand it was korban. It was something that you cannot think of in Mitzrayim. But they asked them, what do you need? Maybe they were blind because of the darkness. And then they said, במצוות השם עלינו. והיו שיניהם כהות, says the Tur, okay? So you see the Tur makes a paraphrase, akhe et shinav, that we say to the Ben Arasha in Agoda. The Tur says, והיו שיניהם כהות, ולא היו רשאים לומר להם דבר. So they couldn't say anything. And for that big miracle, we have Shabbat Hagadol. Okay, so according to this Seder Olam's Shita, Am Yisrael went out of Egypt in on Thursday. And as we said once, according to this, Shavuot is Ke'ilu on Friday, and therefore you have to say that Shavuot was on Shabbat because it was Zayin Besivan, not Vav Besivan. Okay, but Shabbat Hagadol symbolizes V'lo yu rashayim otam lomar davar. So now pay attention to what the Rishonim write, because Rashi, you know that Rashi had a Bet Midrash. Rashi learned in Trier, in what's the name of his city? Not Worms, starting with M, Mainz, in Germany. And Rashi had his whole Bet Midrash. We're used to Rashi's commentary, but there are at least 3 books coming from Rashi's Talmidim. One of them is Sefer HaPardes. The other one is Sefer HaOra, okay? And there is Sidur Rashi. From the time of the Geonim, we have Sidur of Saadia Gaon, we have Sidur of Amam Gaon, and we have Sidur of Rashi. Okay, so Rashi in 3 places, and this explains the same thing, and you see that how his Talmidim heard the same thing from him and wrote it in several books. He wrote that the Nes, the miracle of Leil HaSeder, was that they wanted to take revenge. You worship me, God. And even though they couldn't do anything, okay? So the Am Yisrael was not damaged by the Egyptians. That's the main goal. Another explanation we have in Tosfot in Shabbat, Daf Pei Zayin Amud Bet. Unlike Rashi's Shita, Tosfot says that the miracle was that, as we know from Tehillim, Lemake Mitzrayim Bivchorem. It's okay. Thanks for Mr. Wiseman. Okay, so Lemake Mitzrayim Bivchorihem. It's written Kilo Lam Chesdo. What is Lemake Mitzrayim Bivchorihem? Says Tosfot that the Bechorot knew that Moshe warned Paro, and they knew that they were going to be killed, and they threatened the parents. They say, "What are you doing? Why don't you send them away?" So the parents say, "It's Pharaoh. He doesn't let, or whatever." So they got up and killed them, and that's why there was a Milchemet Achim, a brother war among the Egyptians, and that's Lamekeh Mitzrayim Bivchoreihem. Kadosh Baruch Hu hit the Egyptians in their own Bechorot, and that was a big nes. By the way, I must say, I'll say it on Shabbat, but looking at the Iranians, I'm going to politics for a second, but when reading Sefer Shmot, you don't understand the Achbadat Lev of Lev Paro. You simply don't understand. Why are you doing it again and again and again? And looking at Iran, not in the newspaper, but just in a common thought, they don't have anything to surprise the world. They just have, they can do in the Hormuz, they can, affect the price of the fuel. But they don't have anything against the planes of Israel, of the United States. And even though they want to make a compromise just with the stupid attitude that you pay me compensation, you don't understand how they really dare. But it's mamash gives you an understanding of Makot Mitzrayim, and how sometimes when a Kadosh Baruch Hu leads you, you don't really think. Okay, let's go Sograim. I'm coming back to NATO politics. So according to Rashi's Beit Midrash, it's the Nekama that wasn't done in Am Yisrael, Baruch Hashem. According to Tosfot, is the Milchemet Achim of Mitzrayim Be'atzmam. None of them writes like the two, because look at the two's Lashon. He doesn't say that it was the miracle was that we weren't killed by the Egyptians. He neither said that, nor that the miracle was that the Egyptians killed each other. So what does two say? Lo hayu rasha'im lomar otam davar. And if you listen well to his Lashon, so it's very, very corresponding with what we have in Leil HaSeder, because Pesach, as we know from the Rishonim, is an abbreviation of Pesach. We talk. And one of the symptoms of Ben Chorim, of an independent person is that he talks, he can speak, he can think, and talk out what he thinks, what he has in his mind. Because the slave doesn't think. You see sometimes people just, smoking and sitting, waiting till their master calls them back. They don't do anything. They don't have time to think, to talk. Okay, so talking. I mean, even slaves talk, but they don't talk the same. They don't talk out of thought. And Pesach in Leil HaSeder is something that we have. We are pikchim. We have mind. We think, and therefore we speak. And we have the whole Seder, and we give our thoughts about our independence. Okay, so the same. What we see in Shabbat Hagadol is that ptichat hapeh, the opening of the mouth, starts. That's why Am Yisrael stays next to the bed, next to the place where the sheep is tied, and Am Yisrael says, yes, b'mitzvat Hashem aleinu, we're going to fulfill what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has ordered us. V'lo hayu rasha'in lomar otam davar. Okay, so like the ben harasha that you catch enough that you cannot. Hayu shineihem kehot, saying the two. Shinaim, the teeth of the Egyptians were blood. Okay, what does it mean? It means that they couldn't speak. Okay, so the gap between a slave and his master is exactly at the point that the slave can speak and the master cannot. And that's didn't start at the night of Geulah in Yudalet or Tetva. No, it started from Shabbat Hagadol, and that's why we celebrate Shabbat Hagadol. We know that a famous Gemara in Nidat of Lamed saying that Malach, every baby in his mother womb, learns the whole Torah Kula, and then when he gets out, Ba Malach v'sotro al piv. Okay, so the peh, the mouth, is open kilo in his mother's womb. He has plenty of thoughts. He has what to say to the world. When he gets out, the angel, hits him, shuts him on his mouth. Okay, and then he has to work in order to reopen his mouth. So that's one angle of Shabbat Hagadol. The second thing in Shabbat Hagadol is that it's very weird because, as I said, according to the Seder Olam, it should have been Yud Benisan Hagadol, because we celebrate not Shabbat, we celebrate the day in which Am Yisrael tied the seh, as we know, בעשור לחודש הזה, ויקחו להם איש סלע וטבעות סלע בית. Okay, so they tied the seh when? In Shabbat Hagadol. But you don't celebrate Thursday. You don't celebrate Thursday because they went out of Egypt. You celebrate each year Tetvav Benisan. So what's going on? Why do you celebrate the day in the week? Okay, so I think that it's a contradiction to what we started Perek Yud Bet with, because when starting Perek Yud Bet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, as we learned in Shabbat HaChodesh, HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodashim, emphasizing the month. And the month we can understand because if we count to the moon, and Am Yisrael counts to the moon, unlike Umot HaOlam that count to the sun, so the moon is renewing itself each month. So I understand that there is every month, every 30 days, but in 9 days, as we said a few weeks ago. But it doesn't matter. Every month something happens. Okay, it has a machzor, it has a circle of a month. But in Shabbat, the week is just, a linear time that we decided to make a spot every 7 days. You could have done it every 10 days. Every 12 days, every exa, like in computers, every 16 days, okay, hexadecimal, okay. So the putting the sign every 7th month doesn't make any sense, and that's why the Romans and the Greeks didn't understand the phrase of Shabbat, because it has nothing to do with nature. nothing. The year I can understand because something happens with the sun. It comes to the same point. The months I can understand. I cannot understand Shabbat. Nothing in nature happens every Shabbat. Okay? Nothing. We just make some actions at the Nerot, but nothing really happens. So I think that it's very similar to what we say in Slichot. You know, in Slichot, when we start for the first time, the Ashkenazim, that don't start in Rosh Chodesh Elul, they start from Motzei Shabbat, either 4 days before Rosh Hashanah or sometimes a week before, but they say B'motzei Menucha, Kidamnucha Tchila. The Shabbat is called Menucha. And if you look, what was in Erev Pesach, Am Yisrael was full of actions. משחו, קחו לכם צאן ממשפחותיכם וחטאו הפסח. עם ישראל is involved in שחיטה. עם ישראל is involved in Hallel. We'll speak בעזרת השם on Shabbat about saying Hallel over the Korban, over שחיטת הפסח, at night. עם ישראל מותניכם חגורים, נעליכם ומגליכם. Okay, all the כלי כסף וכלי זהב are ready. They're just waiting for הקדוש ברוך הוא to tell them, יאללה, just go out. Okay, in Leila Seder there are a lot of activities, whereas in Yud B'Nisan, Am Yisrael just waits, sits next to the bed, waiting for the Egyptians to talk to them and asking them about the Korban. Am Yisrael has nothing to do. So I think it's the same phrase of Motzei Menucha Kidamnucha Tchila. Before the whole Hailari, before all the action starts, on Erev Pesach, we have Menucha, we have waiting. And I think that nowadays we have the same thing because we're very perplexed from what's going on. One day we have Trump gets up in the morning and says that it will take a month. One day he says that this night it's over. And we don't know whether we'll have Leila Seder normally or not normally. We just don't know. It's not that we're afraid, I think. It's more that we're perplexed. אנחנו מבולבלים. And we just wait for Kadosh Baruch Hu because with Trump, you never know what side he will get up on. But with Kadosh Baruch Hu, we know that Kadosh Baruch Hu would lead us to the place in this Leila Seder that we have to be. So the same thing happened with Am Yisrael in Yetziat Mitzrayim. They just waited 4 days from Shabbat. And therefore, Shabbat is stressed out. Not the day Yud B'Nisan, that's for sure, but Shabbat is a Yom HaMenucha, is a day that has just a resting. That's a point that Chazal wanted. You don't start from HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. Remember, you start from Shabbat. HaChodesh Hazeh is your own Koach Nachon. On Tzav and Yudaled, you'll have a lot of actions and you'll be involved. But before that, 4 days just start from the Menucha. The third point and the last one is something that I have said. I think that it's related to this as well. And we spoke once on Shabbat Parashat Shmot. It's very interesting that the first encounter between the Kadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is born at Perek Bet, and then he gets up, going to Vayitze Lirot B'Shlom Echav, and he gets involved with Datan v'Aviram, and he has to escape to Midian. And then he, in Perek Gimel, he was a shepherd of his father-in-law, Yitro. And he goes, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu meets him. And we are used to the way that the Kadosh Baruch Hu talks to him. Therefore, we miss something very important, because if we were a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he would like to go in front of Moshe Rabbeinu and to tell him about the mission he's sent to, I would like to say, okay, you have avot, you have permission to Avraham, Yadua Teda ki ger yeh zarecha be'eretz lo lahem, and therefore I have taken them to Mitzrayim either because of Avraham or biglal Yosef, Mechirat Yosef, be it this or that. They are now in Egypt, and it's time, I calculated the time, and it's time to let them go and fulfill all the promises I have promised to the patriarchs. Then Moshe would have the whole history, the whole chain, would understand his place, on Am Yisrael's place in the generation chain, and would easily lead them out of Egypt. But instead, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't mention anything. Till the beginning of Parashat Vayera, we don't see anything of that. Kadosh Baruch Hu tells him again and again and again, without mentioning Avot, without mentioning the Brit Ben Abetarim at all, with talking about Eretz Israel like a surprising place. לכן אמור לבני ישראל, no, that's in Vayera, but in Parashat Shmot, he says, I'll take you to Eretz Tova, but he doesn't mention the name. The name is very well known to the Avot. We've come from somebody, from somewhere. Okay, we didn't come from limbo. We know that we have roots in Eretz Israel that were taken from then, and we go back to it. So why doesn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu say that explicitly to Moshe? And then we said that there are two ways of the Tanakh to describe Yetziat Mitzrayim. The famous way is the one that we're used to from the kindergarten, looking at Sefer Bereshit and seeing Sefer Shmot as a continuation of it. And it's true that we came just because of the curse, the promise, and it's not a curse, it's the promise, the bad promise to be in Galut, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu goel etanu mimitzrayim. But looking at Sefer Yecheskel that we'll see in the Haggadah, Yecheskel has two prakim dealing at length with Yetziat Mitzrayim. One is Tetzayin, Yecheskel Tetzayin, and one is Yecheskel Kaf. Yecheskel Tetzayin, that we read in as a part of the Haggadah, he relates to Am Yisrael like a child that was left in front of the hospital, full of blood, no parents, the parents left the child, and it's an orphan, and somebody sees the girl, the orphan girl, and takes her, and she comes to his house, and he dresses her and gives her food, etc., etc., and then he marries her out after years. As we know in the Tanakh, to marry a girl is to give her support, because girls didn't know how to handle themselves, they didn't read, they couldn't earn money, etc., etc. So, according to Yecheskel, the way that the Torah depicts Yetziat Mitzrayim is not history. We don't have anything in Eretz Israel. We don't have parents. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says explicitly, Yecheskel says, Avicha emori ve'imech hitit. You have no roots. You came from Gentiles, from Goyim. I don't know who you are. You're just covered with the blood, okay? And we have two models of Yetziat Mitzrayim. One model is Baruch Shomer Havtachato LeYisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved the promise to the Avot and took them just because their sack was full. Okay, the sack of years was full. But according to Yecheskel, it's not Baruch Shomer Havtachato LeYisrael, it's Ba'avur Ze Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu Li B'Tzitim Mitzrayim. And if you look in the Haggadah, you have a play between the two models. One saying that we have a chain, we have a promise, we have come from Eretz Israel, we're going back to Eretz Israel, we have fulfilled Lavan and Mitzrayim and all the Galuyos, and then we come back. And one says, no, it came by accident, כאילו. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw us, he didn't have to do anything to us, and he found us in Mitzrayim, and he decided he doesn't owe us anything, and we just owe him for letting us go out of Mitzrayim. And I think that that's another explanation in Shabbat and in Yetziat Mitzrayim, because what do we do in Shabbat? What do we do in Yetziat Mitzrayim? In Yetziat Mitzrayim, we come, שוחטים, and then we say, לוקחים כלי כסף וכלי זהב, Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised to our patriarchs to get ואחרי כן יצאו ברכוש גדול. We have to fulfill all the chain, everything. But on Shabbat, we don't have anything of that. We haven't gone yet. We haven't taken the klei kesef וכלי זהב yet. So we just waiting. And Shabbat is mamash chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we don't have any reason to go out. We still don't have any mitzvot. But we're waiting, and that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a redemption would come. So I think that's a pshat in the Ben Arasha. The Ben Arasha says, "Ma avodah azot lachem," and we answer him, "Ba'avur ze asa Hashem li velo lo." So I would like to give a pshat based on what we're saying now. The Ben Arasha doesn't say that we don't need anything, as we think. Ma avodah azot lachem. Let me go and sleep in bed. Okay, chaval, you're wasting your time. No, the Ben Arasha says that why do you pay so much attention? Why do you give so much significance to this night? We're a part of a history. We're Jews. Why do you praise Hashem for what He has done in Iran? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a long history with Am Yisrael, and He's obliged to make us nisim, and He makes us a lot of bad things, and He makes us a lot of good things, and that's a part of our life. Okay, so we don't owe Him anything. It's just a big chain, and out of inertia, how do you call it in English? Out of inertia.
You said inertia? Is that the word you wanted? Inertia.
Yeah. Inertia, thank you. So out of inertia, surprisingly, it's very similar to the Hebrew one. but out of inertia, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu made all the promises fulfilled. Why do we have to thank Him? Ma ha'avodah azot lachem. And you say no. Ba'avur ze asa Hashem li velo lo. For me, ve'otanu hotzi misham. We have to feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Hatzalah not to us as a part of Am Yisrael, not to us as a part of the chain of Brit Bein HaBetarim, of the whole, big picture. No, each one of us should feel, וצריך להראות את עצמו, צריך to feel, doesn't matter, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took himself from Egypt and took him out of it. Okay, that's why we say to the Ben Arasha, you have to feel like Yecheskel, you have to feel like an orphan, you have to feel like that you're covered with blood, that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu has taken you out of Mitzrayim. So we started by asking about the several shitot of the Rishonim with Shabbat Hagadol, and we saw the two concentrates in talking to Am Yisrael according to the silence of the Mitzrim. We talked about the day of Shabbat, not the day of the month, and we saw the Shabbat in reference to Chodesh Zelachem, and we spoke about the resting point of Shabbat, Mitzvah Monucha, and then we saw the two ways of Yecheskel and Sefer Bereshit to see Yetziat Mitzrayim, and therefore Shabbat versus the Leil HaSeder. Leil HaSeder is more action, more a part of the whole ta'alich, the whole process with the kelim, with the rechush gadol, whereas on Shabbat we just see the HaKadosh Baruch Hu nigla aleim vege'alam. Thank you very much, and to those that I wouldn't see, as Pesach kasher v'sameach, Bezrat Hashem, with b'sorot tovot. Until Pesach, we'll have Bezrat Hashem a big geula. להתראות.
We'll see you this Shabbat.
מה זה?
Hopefully I'll be there this Shabbat.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that you registered.
Right.
Okay.
And so that would explain why Moshe originally thought he was going to Canada. He because of his kvar pei came out Canaan.
לילה טוב, בשורות טובות.
Hello.